Finally, the transfer of Jens Stryger Larsen to Trabzonspor has been finalized today. I think it's a very exciting transfer for both for Trabzonspor and for Jens Stryger Larsen. I think going to the Turkish champions, it's a great move for him. And Trabzonspor are getting a fantastic player. Jens Stryger is a very versatile player. Can play both in the midfield on both fullbacks, both left and right. Obviously, he's a right-footed player, so strongest on the right side. And I think this is a move I really like, especially as a follow of the Danish team, Danish national team, the Danish players. I think this is very promising. Stryger has been great. He's played for a couple of seasons in Italy and been one of the key players for this Udinese team. And then unfortunately, after he said that he wouldn't extend his contract with the team, they sent him to the stand, and he hasn't played any league football since October, unfortunately. So I mean, Trabzonspor, I think they will need to be a little bit patient with him. They need to give him a little bit of time to get back into match shape because, well, being on the stands for what is it now, 8 months it's a long time. But once he's back into his old shape, he's gonna be. I'm very sure he's gonna be a success. And I think Stryger, he had a lot of opportunities being a free transfer player, being national team player for Denmark, with everything he has shown, very experienced and of course versatile. So he had a lot of different opportunities. He could easily have gone play Premier League or La Liga, whatever. But I think the fact that he moved to Trabzonspor, as I wrote on my Twitter the other earlier today, is it's a very ambitious move for him. He is 31 now. He wants to play European football. He has never really tried. He never tried to play in the Champions League. He has never really tried to compete at the highest level. So he wants to play European football and play against the best teams in the world. And he wants to win titles. He doesn't have a single title to his name, and that's why he moved to Trabzonspor to really go and work on his legacy and prove how good of a player he can be by going to the big stage. So I love this transfer. I think it's a lot more fun for him. It's a lot more fun for us who are following him to see him play at this stage rather than going to, I don't know, a mid-bottom table team of the Premier League, for example, which might be able to pay him more money. And yeah, what kind of player are Trabzonspor getting then? I mean, as I said, Stryger, he's a very versatile player. He started his career as a midfielder, and he was then moved down to the defense. So he can play on both fullback positions. He is, as I said, a right-footed player. So in my opinion, he is definitely best on the right side. But on the national team, especially, and also at Udinese, he has played a lot on the left. And of course, it has its disadvantages to play as a right-footed left back, but I think every single Trabzonspor fan who are worried about this, they should go and watch his latest goal for the national team because Stryger, he does have an eye for goal. I mean, if you look at his stats, he doesn't look like he's not a guy who scores a tons of goal, but he has a really good right foot, and especially he's an offensive-minded defender. He moves forward and he can go inside the pitch and shoot from the outside, and he has scored some fantastic goals. So please go to YouTube, search his latest goal for the Danish national team, and I think if you're worried about him playing left back, I think this should erase some of your doubts. Um, of course, going to Italy and have played for Udinese this long, I mean, you learn a lot as a defender playing in Italy. So when Stryger left Denmark as a young player, he was very raw. He was very athletic, physically gifted, could run all day long and never get tired. But at Italy, he really developed his game. I mean, he was no longer just an offensive wingback running forward and pushing all the time, but he became very smart, really strong positioning. He knows when to push forward. He knows when to go back, and he is a really good defender. And I think he has gotten a great development, great education as first in Denmark and Austria, and then in Italy. Of course, when you're looking at Nordic players in Turkey, I think a lot of thoughts will go to Sørloth and Cornelius, the big strikers who have scored a ton of goals in this league, and especially of course Cornelius, who will now be his teammate at Trabzonspor. But I think it's unfair to compare Stryger to these guys. Of course, Stryger is a defender, completely different position, completely different kind of player. Both Sørloth and Cornelius were really big, strong target men, and Stryger, he has a different physicality. I mean, he is much more of a runner. He's faster. He's more technically gifted. But yeah, don't expect him to go out and be a top scorer or anything like that. But I think these guys, they prove that the Nordic players, they generally do very well in Turkey. I think there's also been a couple of other instances. For example, Jens Stryger, who played at Konyaspor, also did very well and went on to play in La Liga afterwards. So I think the Trabzonspor fans, they would be very happy with Stryger, and I think he will do really well. It's a competitive league, but he is also a very competitive guy, and he's a great player. When you think of Danish defenders, of course, I think a lot of people, they will think of, well, maybe the older guys will think of Daniel Agger, or even further back, Morten Olsen and so on. These days, it's Simon Kjær, who just won the league with Milan in Italy, Andreas Christensen, who's about to sign for Barcelona, Vestergaard at Leicester, and so on. They are the big names. They're the big guys. Of course, Stryger, he's not a player on that level. We have to be realistic. He is not on that level. But I mean, he has been part of this Danish national team for the past many years. He has been an important part. He has started World Cup games. He has been at all of these big tournaments, and he's been an integral part of this team. So of course, Trabzonspor, they're not getting Andreas Christensen level talent, but they are getting a really strong player who has played with these guys, who has learned from these guys, who has helped all of these guys, and he is also very experienced, Jens Larsen. So I think he should do well, and yeah, Denmark has a history of having really strong defenders, and he's definitely one of them. So I'm very excited about this transfer, and I think yeah, well, Turkish football fans, they should be looking forward to seeing him as well. But yeah, give him a little bit of time. He needs to get back into shape.